The answer is yes. Okay, doing this like a proper review, which I have no experience in making one. I think this chapter was wonderfully designed and a true love letter to Five Nights at Freddy's and its fans. Everything that I could have asked out of this chapter was delivered and more. Correct shocker, I know, with the tone of my voice. You're gonna have to get used to it. I may sound like a glazer, because I am. I've been a fan of FNAF for most of its lifespan. Wait, FNAF became 11 years old this year? God, I'm old. But my opinion on this chapter doesn't come from being blind by nostalgia, or because, whoa, Springtrap in Dead by Daylight. I don't use Twitter, I'm a Redditor. Instead, it comes from the fact that BHVR actually done a pretty good job so far. About this chapter. I'm gonna split this video into 5 sections. Character designs. This one matters since this is a license. You want your licensed characters to look like the source material, or better. Character interpretations, since even though you may have nailed the look, who is to say you nailed their personality? Bower design. If it's not fun, why bother? Perks. Some of y'all only want characters for their perks. And the map. Because why not? You got that? Good, because that's everything about the chapter. Now let's get into it. Let's start with the base look.
Yo, what's up?
Let me tell you, this is the best Springtrap design we got in any game, period. He is extremely faithful to the original FNAF 3 design, with a plus of the corpse underneath the suit looking like a corpse, and not whatever Scott was trying for. Look, I know he was not good at human proportions, but ankle guts. Angle guts! And those made it into DBD's design too, which is unbelievably funny to me. The only lacking thing is the darker green at the center and the button, but that's such a minor thing that it doesn't matter. Everything else is perfect. Now let's move on to the skins. Bloody Springtrap, the reward for Prestige 4, 5 and 6. It's just Springtrap covered in blood, nothing unusual for Prestiges, or what he does on a daily basis. But it does make him look more menacing, and it's his only grindable outfit. Thanks BHVR for making licensed cosmetics also cost only RX cells on a character I already paid money for! Toxic Springtrap.
Good grief, he's naked!
So he lost most of the costume outside of the head, and his corpse now looks fucking ripped and ready to arm wrestle with Nemesis. The skin was taken from FNAF AR's special delivery, and it was massively improved. Again, BHVR actually done a pretty good job at this chapter. This skin looks gross in the best way possible. Is it worth it 50 Romanian leis? Aka 10 euros? Not to me. And since I have yet to see this skin in game, probably not worth it for others either. I don't have much else to say for this skin. It's Springtrap on lean. And I say, that's a great addition. Clown Springtrap.
Lumix, why do you keep doing this to me? First I was put in a vat of toxic mucus. Next I was set on fire again. And now you've dressed me up as a clown? I need to contact Scott Corford immediately. You guys should all be fired.
Now this is peak design. Coming straight from your house, we have another skin taken from FNAF AR. And it's by far my favorite skin in this game. They didn't even need to improve it, it was already perfect from AR. Even though corpse has paint on its face. You also get to see the face more on the skin, because its teeth are gone. However, the rest of the corpse is hidden, which I personally don't mind. And compared to Lintrap, I've seen this game in game before a Survivor. This was a perfect addition, and I will not have it any other way. The Yellow Rabbit. Oh shit, is that Shaggy Rogers?
Your choice.
Okay, I'll be honest, I did not watch the movie, so I can't comment much on him. But I can tell you, this skin looks amazing, and a lot of effort was put into making it. It's nowhere near as gory as Springtrap's base, but it didn't have to be. And we got Shaggy as the man behind the slaughter. What more do you want? Finally, we got Glitchtrap, which, while not the best skin in the game, Clown Springtrap can't be topped. This is still one in the top 10. Everything about Glitchtrap feels wrong. It hits that uncanny valley territory with a straight 10 out of 10. It is simply not human despite looking like one, and I love it. Look, I can say all of this about how Springtrap looks, but that won't matter if his interpretation was ass. And his interpretation... yeah, they knocked this one out of the park by like a continent. This very much is Springtrap. From voice lines to animations to jump scares, this feels like a cold-blooded child killer that just wants to toy with you before killing you. The voice lines showing him as this self-absorbed theater star is perfect. Not just because he had to be able to act in this suit in order to lure kids to a spot to kill them, but because he more than likely used to be a performer in this suit in his old Fredbear's Family Diner days. The voice also showing pain is ideal for someone who's probably feeling every level of pain ever. Him also jumpscaring the survivors, aside from being very on brand for FNAF, also adds to my earlier point. He could kill you there, but he doesn't. He wants to toy with you as he does his most favorite act, killing you. We see that even in the Mori. He has no reason to jump scare you, aside from him just wanting to toy with you just a bit more. And the obvious jump scares again show this aspect of him. He could just go in and kill you, but he doesn't. He plays with you, sometimes just waiting on the other side of the door for you to open. This is Springtrap. I think the only odd thing is the Mori. I'm pretty sure this was taken from the movie. However, this can still be explained as him getting remnant out of his victims, so it's not all too bad. Think so, at least. Well, we reached a point where controversy is a thing. A killer's power from a licensed chapter has to hit the spot most expected from it. And I fully believe this one did. For me and others. For some people it didn't. They just wanted Knight 2.0 by having him use the phantoms from Five Nights at Freddy's 3. And I'm so fucking happy that behavior was smarter than that. His power is named Fazbear's Fright. Which is funny, since that's the name of the place you are in during Five Nights at Freddy's 3. This power is split into 3 different elements: the fire axe, the security doors, and the cameras. Let's start with the fire axe. This is by far the most controversial part of his power, because rather than being pulled from official media, it's pulled from fan work. This might seem weird, until you go through Game Shot or play Security Breach, or have any awareness of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative. The fire axe makes perfect sense, trust me on this one. The fire axe is simple. When Springtrap has it in his inventory, he moves at 4.4 meters per second, or 110% movement speed. When he doesn't have it in his inventory, he moves at 4.6 meters per second, or 150% movement speed. That 5% makes a lot of differences, you won't even believe it. The fire axe can be thrown to hit survivors at range, however it doesn't travel very far and has a pretty harsh arc. This comes with the benefit that you can hit behind walls, but you are gonna need God tier prediction or aura burst for this to be viable. If the axe misses, it creates a small aura around the zone it lands in. If anyone steps in it, their location is revealed with Killer Instinct, however, the aura is not permanent and will go away after a while. If the axe hits a survivor, 2 things can happen. 1, if they are healthy, the axe will get stuck in their back. 2, if they are injured, they get downed. If the axe hits them while they are healthy, they suffer from the broken status effect, preventing them from being killed until the axe is removed. The axe can be removed by a survivor by removing it themselves, or having another survivor removing it from them, which is faster than removing it themselves. If a survivor doesn't try to remove the axe, the aura of the axe will be visible, letting Springtrap track them. If they try to remove the axe, the aura is not visible. If Springtrap gets behind the survivor with an axe in their back, he gains the option to jumpscare them. Jumpscaring them causes Springtrap to make the survivor feel his bad breath and instantly grab them, changing flashlight save windows with it. Also, if you have stuff like save the best for last or play with your food, the stacks you had won't be lost if you jumpscare them. Springtrap can get his axe in two ways. If he misses, he has the option to summon it back to himself after a short time. If he hits, he can either summon it back, let the survivor remove it, down the survivor, or jumpscare them. Phew, that was a lot. Now, onto the other part of his ability, the security doors. 7 of them will spawn near generators in spots where chests will otherwise spawn. Springtrap and the survivors can both use the security doors to travel around the map. However, survivors move slower through the doors than Springtrap. Springtrap takes around 2 to 3 seconds, while survivors take around 4 to 5 seconds, not counting the animation of entering and exiting the doors. Springtrap, upon entering a door and exiting another, gains undetectable for 20 seconds. He can also just not travel and hide in the door until he hears someone. This doesn't prevent the anti-cam bar from failing, by the way. When using the doors, both the survivors and Springtrap pass through the security office. However, Springtrap can intercept the survivor and instantly grab them. There's quite a few ways for Springtrap to intercept a survivor. 1. A survivor enters a door in which Springtrap was hiding. 2. A survivor goes to the same door Springtrap is going to. 3. Springtrap chases them down in the door they entered. 4. Springtrap intercepts the survivors by going either to the door they entered through or the door they are heading to. Fucking burps. It is best as a survivor to use the doors only if you know Springtrap is busy chasing someone. And also look at this monitor. If it flickers, this means either Springtrap or a fellow survivor is using it. I advise that if you see it flicker, flee the area immediately, unless you know for a fact that it's not Springtrap. Okay, there's the door explanation, now the security cameras. The security cameras can only be used by the survivors. Springboy was denied access to it. The cameras are tied to the doors, so you have to go to a door in order to use the cameras. From there, you can monitor the map to see where Springtrap and the other survivors are. However, you are on a limited power supply. It can recharge, don't worry, but it does prevent you from being a permanent pain up the ass of Springtrap. Multiple survivors can use the security system at the same time, but that's not ideal, as cameras where the other survivors are become unwatchable, and the power drains much faster. Now sure, you can monitor Springtrap and your fellow teammates that are probably having their thumb up their ass and make sure the place you go to is safe, but does it help in other ways? Well, it does. If you watch Springtrap in a certain range of the cameras, he will be getting filled by static. And if he's fully covered for a few seconds, his aura becomes visible to everyone. And undetectable doesn't prevent his aura from being visible. Meaning just one guy monitoring him can make a huge difference in how unpredictable he is. However, Springtrap can prevent that, because of course he can. There is an audio cue for both survivors and killers that Springtrap is being watched. If Springtrap is near a door and has his fire axe, he can throw the axe into the door to disable the camera, putting a halt to your process to reveal him. So unless doors spawn close to each other, you could struggle to reveal him. And that's all for his power. It sounds like a lot, but in reality it's not. It's a rather simple power with plenty of use cases and counters on both sides. In other words, from simplicity comes complexity. As for the accuracy to the source material, 10 out of 10. As I said, this chapter brought everything I could have asked for and more. The power is a prime example of that. It brought the camera system and the power management baked into FNAF's identity, and the undetectable is thematically perfect, as you lose track of your threat and scramble to try and find them, before it's too late and they find you. Most would have been happy with just this, but they went the extra mile to bring the office and the security doors into the gameplay loop in a way that feels just how you'd expect it to work in DBD. And the Fire Axe is just a wonderful addition to represent just how integral the fanbase is to Five Nights at Freddy's. Some people bitch that his power is just Sadako, Singularity, and Huntress into one, and it has no soul. Aside from the fact that I straight up disagree that any of the aspects of Springtrap are soulless, this guy has more passion and soul than the entirety of DBD Twitter, I also think that this line of thinking is bad for the game's future. You aren't encouraging the DBD team to make more unique powers, you are harming creativity in power designs, as you are actively restricting their options. And then you're gonna bitch about things not being unique enough compared to Springtrap. You're entitled to this opinion, but you have to accept that this is not a good opinion for the future of the game. Oh, and the add-ons. I don't use add-ons myself, but I gotta say, these are some of the most creative add-ons they made for a long while. Also, you gotta make it so the 150% movement speed only applies if the Fire Axe is stuck in a survivor. Right now, it's kind of dumb that it can become 115% movement speed over the player's lacking skill. Perks are probably the weirdest part to talk about, since they have to be balanced not just for him, but for another 39 killers, while also being thematically fitting for the character. The first perk we have is Haywire. This perk regresses escape doors that go past 80% progression back to 80% if they aren't fully powered. This perk used to be bad but usable in the PDB, where it applied at 50% progress. But then Singularity showed his ugly head and caused it to get nerfed into unusable territory on its own, since his ass could camp the shit out of the doors and force them to stay closed until the abandon option popped up or the server closed after 1 hour, giving the killer a cheap win. Sure, you can still confirm some endgame kills with it by forcing the gates to be open since they can't be 99% anymore. But unless you go into Survive with Friends or the most altruistic team ever, you are not gonna get any benefits out of this perk. You quite literally need to use Remember Me with this perk in order to do anything. That's assuming the obsession isn't the one opening the gates since they aren't affected by the slowdown. Just don't use this perk until it gets reworked into something better. On a thematic level, yeah, this perk is just perfect for Springtrap. In FNAF 3, a whole gimmick was that your systems will constantly fail, giving him the advantage as you try to bring things back into control. It's just unfortunate that one single killer out of 40 caused the perk to be nerfed into oblivion. The second perk we have is Help Wanted. First of all, great pun to reference FNAF VR Help Wanted, and with glitch tramping as a skin, all the more perfect. This perk causes a generator that you kick to be compromised. If the currently compromised generator gets finished, you gain 25% faster recovering speed to your basic attack for 60 seconds. First of all, this one is just nasty in combination with play with your food. You end up recovering so ungodly fast, it's not even funny. It's still not all that great though. Compromised perks are kind of just gimmicky, unless survivors insist that hard to repair this one generator you keep kicking. It's not impossible to get value, but you should just not rely on it. On a thematic level, I suppose this ties into the fact that as the nights pass, Springtrap becomes more and more aggressive. Or again, it could be a reference to FNAF VR, where your progress causes Glitchtrap to get closer and closer. The third perk we have is Phantom Fear. When a survivor stares at you and your terror radius exists, they scream and reveal their aura for 2 seconds. First of all, this perk is very solid. For a 60-second cooldown, you can catch survivors trying to hide very easily. And if you got something like Little Pursuer, yeah, it's GG as that aura reveal lasts longer. On a thematic level, you ain't beating this perk. This perk is how it feels to play FNAF, especially on your first time. You will get constantly scared by these animatronics that try to kill you. Plus, I can only imagine Springtrap feels proud to have his victims constantly get scared of him. Well, these are the perks. They range from useless but perfect lore-wise, though kind of useful but kind of weird lore-wise, to useful and great lore-wise. And honestly, I can't even blame them for the hairwire being how it is. Can you imagine Singularity with PvP hairwire in the live game? That'd be unplayable. finally we have the map. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun comes to life, blah blah blah. Look, you've heard this 1,000 times now. The map itself is like 30% Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and 70% the outside. Located in the Withered Isle realm, alongside Garden of Joy, Greenville Square, and Fallen Refugee, meaning you have about a 1 in 4 chance to be sent to this pizzeria if Withered Isle is chosen. The map is honestly great. I'm pretty sure it's taken from the movie, because I do not remember things looking like this in FNAF 1. This map has about everything I'd want from FNAF map, movie or not. The show stage, performances, the kitchen, Golden Freddy's Rage, where's Foxy? The back room, with heads that follow you, and even new additions like the ball pit from the books. There is also quite a few jump scares like the endoskeleton in the vents, and I can only imagine the scare people got when they realized the eyes followed them. There was a lot of love and care put into this map to feel like Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and I'm glad, because it really feels like I'm at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Sadly, there isn't anything to say about the outside, but I love this map nonetheless. And that's it. I think this chapter was perfect in almost every way. Some people were gonna be unhappy no matter what, but I'm glad that they done this chapter justice. I don't expect to change people's minds, especially the minds of this guy, but I wanted to get my opinion on this chapter out, now that it's been a while. That's everything. See ya.
Alan, don't leave me here. Alan, Alan, help me.